We are celebrating the anniversary, and we want to celebrate you for sharing it with your friends and family members. Continue to do that because DJ, the money coach, is helping people really win in the money game, and he wants to help them. He is doing it because of your sharing, friends and family. This is Dr. Willie Dolly. Congratulations, DJ.
Congratulations to you, Read the Money Coach, on an outstanding year of excellence. With you and your team of experts, you've helped so many within the community and across the globe obtain their dreams of becoming financially independent.
Happy anniversary, DJ and everybody. 7 Spirits of Money, that whole team. Just want to wish everybody a happy anniversary, great success, and many more years of changing people's lives. You can increase credit scores, you got assets, you can increase their bank account. We're doing all the things we need to do to create passive and generational wealth.
I have the pleasure of being introduced today as a person who cares about the planet Black. And I continue my behavior actions in order to truly a Black connection. I want to congratulate you guys on the 1st year anniversary of being on social media. And you have many more years of being of service to all people who help them become financially.
All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Bet on Black. The men, the family, the legacy. A new series brought to you by DJ, the Money Coach. Thank you for joining us. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm Nick Westbrooks, of course. DJ, why don't you tell them about this new series that we're starting off this evening?
Oh, yeah, man. So we are excited to bring you guys what we're going to present to you on a weekly basis is 4 generations of entrepreneurs who are free in America. That's right, free in America. So right now, yes, you only see 3 of us right now, but the other 2 gentlemen are actually putting out a couple of business fires, and they will be joining us subsequently. But this show is going to be centered around real Black men who are building businesses, who are taking care of their families, and they have created legacies that actually debunk all this bullshit out there in the world on these social platforms. So after having seen a couple of these things on these platforms that are just the bad depiction of our people, and especially Black men, I said, you know what? I know 10, 12 solid Black men and multiple generations that are doing it right, that I would trust my children around. I would trust around my mother, around my sister, and also people that I aspire to emulate the principles of success that they have achieved, that helped me achieve. So I said, you know what? Why not bring this to the real platform? And I know there's an audience out there that need to see and hear this oasis in the world right now, and especially for the young Black males that are between the ages of 10 to 25 years of age. They need to see real examples of real success, of real men that are winners, leaders, and shepherds. So we came together and we're going to bring you what's called Bet on Black. And so Bet on Black, that's a financial term. You know, it's like I said, you can't lose when you bet on Black. So we're going to bring you real men, real family, and real legacies. So with that said, we're going to bring you the senior statesman who got this thing all started, Mr. Ron Harris, who's going to anchor the show. And the person is actually going to be at the forefront, our youngest contributor to the show, going to be Nick. So our anchor, Ron Harris, take it away, brother.
Yeah, one thing that I love about this show, Dale, like you said, I mean, people need to bet on Black because Black men and especially Black women have shown the country just how strong we are politically as well as financially. And I'm so proud to be a part of this because, see, right now, we need to connect the dots. If we connect the dots, there's nothing that can stop us. And I know they have a lot of laws that they're really coming up with now for voter suppression and things of that nature. But I haven't seen anything. Yeah, they may cut a couple of days. They may take a couple of voting boxes out that you could drop off your ballots and things of that nature. But we should not allow that to stop us from voting. Because I'm so proud of what we did this last election. We put a Democrat in the White House. We put Democrats in the Senate, and we put Democrats in the House of Representatives. And with that, we will be able to pass some voting rights. I mean, it may not be everything that we want, but something is better than nothing. Because the last administration that we had in the White House didn't really appreciate what African Americans were doing in this country. I mean, Donald Trump has fronted his shows and things of that nature. We know that almost every business that Donald Trump has been involved with either went bankrupt or it was a scam. And right now we have somebody around that I think is going to not only help African Americans, but Asians, Hispanic people, and other ethnic groups that we exist in this country. But to give you a little background about what I've been doing all my life, I started in marketing back before affirmative action was really part of the game. I started with General Mills back in '74, and I was the second black executive at that particular company. I worked there for 22 years, and I did pretty well because when I had a retirement party, the chairman of the board didn't attend that party, but he sent one of the senior vice presidents to my retirement party from General Mills. I left General Mills in '95, and before I left, the year of 1994, I started purchasing land in Arizona. And after I purchased that land in Arizona, I started learning the game of development. So I went out west and met some other developers that started teaching me how to really do it and do it well. From 2000 to 2008, I had some very successful years in developing lots for builders. I never really got into building because building is something that's going to take you probably 10 years just to learn it and be good at it, where people won't beat you at it at the game. Because when you start talking about building homes, you have to have your supply chain from different lumber companies, plumbers, other contractors, and people of that nature to be successful at it. And not only that, a lot of builders build homes, but sometimes they have to go in and tear these homes out because something might be wrong with the electricity, the plumbing, and other things like that. So I was in that for about 8 years, did pretty well. Left that business and came out and I started doing some other things. I developed some personal products, CBD products, as well as right now we're getting into supplements because supplements is very big as far as a lot of people, especially my age bracket, are taking supplements rather than dealing with drugs. Because we know every drug commercial that you ever see, you see a lot of different side effects, and you're almost scared to take the drug because it's more side effects. So we've came up with supplements that we feel will help people eliminate some of the drugs that they're taking. We don't have supplements or CBD that's going to solve everybody's medical problems, but we can help you feel better. And that's one thing that we tell our customers. If we can make you feel better than you did before you took our product, we think we have a very successful product. And so far, our business has been picking up. We're having a lot of repeat sales. And having repeat sales tell you that you have a product that people like, because I don't think anybody's going to buy something a second chance, find that doesn't really work for them. So we're happy about that. Working with people like DJ and Nick is really a good thing because a lot of African Americans, people have podcasts and people got things going on. But this show here is going to be a regular show where we get together, kick it up. I'm drinking a little scotch here right tonight because it's an adult show. And we want to make you feel comfortable too. So we're going to chop it up over the next years or two. Right now, I'm happy to be a part of it because I think in the black community, I'm so proud of where we are right now. And see, a lot of people don't realize we have a lot of black CEOs that's running some very major corporations out here. We have probably 5 to 6 black billionaires in America that you really never hear that much about. So don't let people tell you that black men and women are not successful. And see, because we have this platform, now we can start bringing people on who have that success and let the country meet them. Because see, that's what we really need. We need our own vision that we can show people that we are doing just as well as our counterparts. I'm not saying that we're better, but I know one thing, we're just as good. And the thing that we're going to do is bring different people on this show to prove that to you. But like I said, I've had some success in my life, and everything that we do is not always successful. I mean, I've had some down times too, and that's all part of being an entrepreneur. I mean, it's going to be some good times and bad times, But the thing I've learned to do when things get bad, like they say, when things get tough, the tough get going. So when I have bad times, I pray on it because I have a little faith in my life. I mean, I believe in God. I mean, I understand some people may not. That's their okay. I mean, you gotta live life the way you see it. But I'll say this, my spiritual side has helped me during the dark times that I've had in my life. And I think most entrepreneurs has had a bad day and probably has started a business that didn't really work out. And that's all part of learning and understanding what it takes to be successful. Because success doesn't come overnight. Just like they said, paradise is not built in a day. It takes time. And I want to tell all you young people out there that's thinking about going into business, uh, one thing you want to do is do something that you have passion in it. You don't never want to start a business unless you love what you're doing. Because if you love what you're doing, you'll do everything that it takes to make that successful. And that's why a lot of people who have had a hobby and they decided from their hobby that they're going to take the hobby and make it into a business. And they've done very well because they took the time and effort to learn as much as they possibly can. Because I'm reading all the time. Because anytime you have a product, especially if you have a product online, marketing is changing every day. And that's what makes things so competitive because no matter what we're doing, you probably have 1,000 people doing the same thing. And it comes down to the people who are passionate about what they do and spend the time learning more about what they need to be doing. And that's what I try to do myself because my marketing skills really basically was in the grocery business. I spent 22 years doing it. And like I said, I had a pretty successful run in the grocery business. But when you go into something else, you got to learn just what those products are all about and just how to market those products. You need a good supply chain. I mean, you need good people behind you that's going to come in with the same passion that you have and try to make that business successful. And take care of those people. That's the most important thing because you have a lot of entrepreneurs hire people and they want to make all the money and don't want to take care of the people that's working with them. And I think if you're going to have a company, the one thing that you can do is start a profit sharing situation or stock sharing or something to make that employee feel like it's his company too. And basically it really is because your success is going to be what type of success he has working for you.
Oh, absolutely, Ron. So we're going to chop it up a lot about that. What we want to do now is we want to let Nick tell a little bit of his backstory. And then we're going to actually get into the show because we, introduced ourselves, letting our audiences know a little bit about us. So, Nick, tell everybody a little bit about you and why you are going to be participating in, Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy.
Yeah, right. So like DJ mentioned, I will be, the youngest on the panel. I'm, 30 years of age. And what I'm looking to get from this program and these conversations is, some guidance from the young OGs and the elder statesmen here, because of course I have my father's in my life, but just like Robert Kiyosaki talks about in Rich Dad Poor Dad, he had his rich dad and he had his poor dad, and then of course we're talking about that in terms of wealth and finances, and I'll also add that I've always had men, older men in my life, throughout my years growing up, at home, in school, at church, in sports, I've always had men around, and each group of men or each individual man, they've contributed, something different or unique, to my development. So with this being DJ, the money coach in the 7 spheres of money, of course, I will get a well-rounded guidance on a variety of topics and issues that men deal with, but I will especially receive that guidance in terms of finance. And I also look to contribute some of the new ways or new appearances of some of these issues, because some of the things in terms of media and technology, the gentlemen here haven't experienced, in their years growing up. Of course, the themes, the things that we all go through, those things haven't changed. There's nothing new under the sun. But the ways in which those experiences look have changed. So I'm here to contribute that to this conversation. So when we come back from this break, we will dive into the backstories.
Sounds great. We'll see you after the break.
Untitled organic tequila is so crisp, so incredibly smooth. It's simply in a category by itself. This is luxury. Life tastes better naturally, so should your tequila. This is Toledo. Enjoy responsibly. Visit ToledoTequila.com to get your bottle of Toledo organic tequila. Get a 10% discount on DJ the Money Coach by entering the promo code MONEY at checkout. Again, that's ToledoTequila.com, promo code MONEY to get 10% off your Toledo purchase. Now, let's start the show.
This is DJ the Money Coach. Thank you for celebrating our 1-year anniversary with us. Thank you for the emails, videos, and the phone calls. Most importantly, congratulations for the hundreds of people who actually acquired the course. Now it's time to take it to the next level. That's right. Millionaire, money made. I'm actually going to teach you live how to earn at 800 credit score through the Family Finance 101 course. I'm going to teach live 3-hour course. That's right. After I do that, we're actually going to bring you 3 steps to success. Business, real estate, and leverage the tax law. And once we achieve that, we're going to show you how to earn with a little bit of investment in the market up to 80% return, cash on cash return on your money. After we achieve that, we're going to show you how to earn with a minimum investment of $7,500. How to get you $850 a month passive income. On top of that, we're going to give you 2 live Zoom trainings with Leonard, 7-figure Forex traders in 2007, Clarence and Tonia, 7-figure income earners through real estate, over 200 properties they own and retired at a young age of 40 and 42. All you have to do is register now. Hit that link below, and you'll become part of Millionaire, Money Making Made, exclusively with Erica Williams and the Classic Line, brought to you by DJ Money Coach and the 7 Spheres of Money team. So don't you deserve to get a video next door, consumer debt free, cash, and credit? Absolutely. Hit the link. I'll see you live on May 19th.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. And we're going to rep 4 generations on every show. And we're going to talk about everything that Black men need to know about, need to learn about, and need to be about, which we call 100% authentic. Ain't nobody perfect, but there are certain rules to being a man in society. And one of the problems is those rules are being violated tremendously in our culture nowadays. It's a race to the bottom. So if you make money, it don't matter what your character or what your principles are, as long as you make money. Guess what? That is a road to hell. That's right. Road to hell. I'm not going to get on this platform and be preaching, but I'm just telling you that depiction of our brothers in society today is a bunch of bull. So this show is going to be centered and real. We ain't perfect by any stretch of imagination, and we're going to tell you about the mistakes we made from the day we got started in this game called life, and we're going to show you a blueprint of what that success looks like. There's something you can emulate the immutable principles of success that are universal no matter what you look like, be it black, brown, white, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, whatever. But it's going to come strictly from a black man's perspective, from a black man's viewpoint, not from somebody else's. That's another thing you're going to like about this show, is that we're not going to be politically correct, because guess what? I don't need the validation of no man on this planet. None. I see my world through my eyes only, not how somebody sees me. And I really don't give a F if you look at me any other way, because the fruit is on the tree. And what do I mean by that? When you look at my children, you see the real DJ the Money Coach, because that you can't fake the funk. And the biggest compliment that I can get is that people tell me how well-mannered, how dignified, hardworking, intelligent, skilled my children are. And that's what we're going to depict through the 4 generations of our show. Is going to be built on the premise of one word. It's an acronym, STEAM. So if you're watching this and you're a black man, if you're 8 years old, if you're 55 years old, I want you to write this down. It's S for science, T for technology, E for entrepreneurs, which is the nucleus of everybody who's on this show, is a straight up entrepreneur and learning to be an entrepreneur, which is Nick. But everybody else is going to be on this show is a full-blown 6-figure, 7-figure net worth entrepreneur through and through, and have been entrepreneurs from the day they came out the womb. And then the A is for access, because that levels the playing field. So when you're getting mad because you saw the white boy who had no skills get a job that he wasn't qualified for, don't get upset, because he's playing a game that was passed on to him from his father's father's father, and unapologetically, he gonna learn the skills to stay in that job. So guess what we need to do? We need to give our people access. And what leads to access is the M for mentorship, which is men. So everything we talk about on this show, ladies and gentlemen, and Bet on Black, is going to be from the premise and the nucleus of STEAM: science, technology, entrepreneurship, access, and mentorship. And I'm going to give it to you right now today. Before we did this show, I showed how powerful access is. We're working on, with our sponsor, Tolero, 100% organic, 100% black-owned tequila, only one in its kind on the planet. 100% organic, 100% black-owned. Yeah, you might see some faces of black people owning tequila companies like The Rock, but he don't own it all. He's got a major partner. This is owned 100% by 2 brothers. Shout out to Ben, shout out to Coda. And this Tolero is the best tasting tequila on the planet. It's not because it's black owned, it is just the best. And it's the only organic one in its division, period. So why do I say that? Because another thing you're going to find out about these brothers on this show, we don't get down with nothing but the best. The best that money can buy, we like to partake in it, but we partake in it, being responsible. You know what I'm saying? So here's what happened with my access and my network. I was able today to touch bases with a gentleman that I haven't talked to in 3 years, but because our relationship was solidified through access and mentorship, a white guy, a sharp white guy that actually gave me some of the game in the town that I live in, because he saw me as a sharp, up-and-coming go-getter that shared the same principles he had: integrity, humility, hardworking, skilled. And he tapped me into an opportunity for Tolero that potentially is going to make us $10 million. And that's what I'm talking about, access. So you're going to see this on our shows all the time, and we're going to unapologetically tell you how to get access. And another thing we're going to debunk is that we're open to do business and relationships with everybody that's bet on black. And why do I say that? Because you got a lot of shows out here and a lot of people out here, they get to the top supposedly, and they say, hey man, I'm about that group economics. I'm about that working with all my brothers and sisters. That's just a show. That's a bunch of BS. Here's the irony of it. And then I'm going to turn over and we're going to tell about our humble beginnings of how we started to where we are. Is that I have more challenges trying to get down with black brothers who show they have success than I have working with white men. I'm going to say that again. I have more challenges getting down with brothers who are successful, making millions of dollars, or they making $100, and you try to reach out to them, they want to interview you to put you on their program. But I can call up a white dude that's worth millions of dollars and not only get him on the phone, but go by his house. But I can't do that with most of our people. Unlikely, but these people on this show tonight is going to be on the show. These people I can get access to all the time. So that's what I want you to find out about Bet on Black, the men, the family, and the legacy. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Ron because this is going to be a fun ride until the day we die. Because I don't care if 100 people watch the show or if 1 million people watch the show. We're talking to those people who need it, that look like us from age 8 to 98, handling their business. So Ron, I met in 2007 or 2006, I think it was. And I was putting together our financial planning practice. We were doing well and was working with Clarence. And then Ron was introduced to me in Detroit when he was putting together this amazing product called the Buddy Mate. And Ron was accessible. Ron needed some help. He checked out my background. He said, man, I think you can help me out. No problem at all. And Ron and I locked horns. And next thing I know, unbeknownst to me, Ron's this amazing real estate developer. And he started teaching me the game. Thank you, Ron.
Like we were saying earlier about, I mean, some of the pitfalls that we have, and we need to talk about that too. Quite naturally, I opened up my first business. I was 21. I had a boutique. It was back in 1970. And I tried, I mean, quite naturally, you come in and you're a little underfunded. And so you try to come in, I think, I know Barry Gordy, not to get away from what I did. He started Motown, they said, with $500 and, went on to be multi-million empire. With me, I had a boutique. We had records, and at that time, people had a lot of pipes and stuff like that, these boutiques, because that's what people were doing back in the early 70s. That was the revolution of the hippies, if you want to go back to that particular time. I stayed in business for close to a year, but because I was undercapitalized, I didn't quite make it. So, like I told you, then I went back to work in corporate America at General Mills. But one thing I want to tell a lot of people who want to go into business, like I said, Dale, you need that assistance from people like us that can help you get through that supply chain, and you need financing. And that's the thing that a lot of us probably will help a lot of young people that have a business plan. You really need a business plan. You got to show people what your vision is in your business. And quite naturally, like Dale said, there's quite a few black people out there that may have the money, may have the connections to help you, but they're that way because maybe somebody didn't really help them, and they feel like, well, I did it all by myself, so I'm not going to help you. But that's not the way that we look at things, because see, like I said earlier, we have, excuse me, the power, mentally, financially, experience to take our race to another level. You're not going to be able to help everybody because some people don't want to be helped. I mean, just like some people are saying that they don't want to take the shot because of the virus, and that's okay. I mean, that's your prerogative. But when you come to business, I suggest that you do all you can to try to get some financing, a little financing for, and how I really got started. I had a job, but I saved my money. I invested in stocks at the time because, like, at the time I was working for General Mills, and we had a 401 plan, and we had other plans too that don't exist in a lot of corporations now. Quite naturally, I had a company car, expense account, so that allows me to have an advantage of getting extra money and didn't have to really go buy a car because I had a company car, and I could take people out to dinner because I had quite naturally a pretty good expense account. But like I said, not only that particular business, I mean, I did several things. When I got started into development, I mean, it wasn't, I bought my property in 94, but I really didn't get off the ground until 2000 because I really didn't have the connections. And see, in Arizona, which is pretty much a Republican state, very conservative, a lot of people looked at me, here's this black guy from Detroit. Is he one of those slick guys or whatever? But they did a little background check on me. I mean, especially the fact that I was in that corporate game and things of that nature. And thank God I didn't have a record. I mean, I've never been locked up. Thank God about that. So I had the things that they said, let's trust this guy. So they trusted me. And because I was willing to learn, I mean, I had a passion, like I was talking about earlier, to get into this development game and be one of the best at it. And quite naturally, when I started buying property back in 94, some of the stuff I paid as low as $500 an acre. But around about 2005, that same property had dropped up to $35,000 an acre, undeveloped. But that happened because of the demand. See, I was in Kingman, Arizona, just right outside of Las Vegas. And a lot of the developers in Las Vegas and Phoenix was blowing up, I mean, from 95 all the way up until the great crash of 2008. I mean, you couldn't build. I remember back in 96, if you wanted a lot in Las Vegas, you had to go out there and get into a lottery, and they pulled your name out of the hat. And if you got your name pulled out of the hat, you would be able to buy a lot. So a lot of those developers started coming down to Kingman because I had met people in Vegas, and they drove the property values up like crazy. They was doing a lot of building down there. And I had a nice ride for about 8 years. And quite naturally, that's one of the reasons why I've been able to hang on my property. I made some money. I've been able to pay my taxes. And I thank God that I'm not behind on anything. My credit is in the high, well, I was in the 800s, but I'm back in the high 7s now because I've been using money to borrow money to do my business. And see, people be talking about how do you get into the 800s? Well, you get into the 800s, we don't have no bills, period. Really, I mean, when you clean, but use people credit, use the stuff, because if you're using it productively, where the interest that you're paying, the return on your business is greater than the interest that you're paying, then you're doing okay. And that's one thing that I do. I try to get into something where my margins are 200-300%, because then if I'm borrowing and it's costing me, I've been fortunate to get money pretty low because, like I said, my credit is cool.
You said your margins are 200 to 300%.
Oh yeah,
You see, he tried to sneak that in. Oh, my margins are 200 to 300%.
Sometimes they.
I'm thinking he's about to say like 15-20%. Oh yeah, my margins are 200 to 300%. Man, I'd have people run jumping over buses and buildings to get 200-300%, man.
Well, but like you say, I mean, just like my oils and stuff. So we have a lab out in California. We produce our products, and the thing is, if you're producing, I mean, and you got a good supply chain, I mean, your margins can be pretty decent. And, because, at that point, if you're going to have losses sometimes in the business. I mean, some things going to happen, and you can really be able to withstand losses if you have some nice markup. And I mean, not everything I've done had those kind of markups, but some of the things that I'm doing right now, I have those kind of markups. And people might say, well, that's greed. No, it's not greed, because I can compete with my competition. Matter of fact, a lot of my products are lower than what my competition is saying because I don't have the overhead that some of the competition out there is having. Because I've learned that if you can get a good team, and like I said, you want to take care of your team, because the people on my team, the business is theirs as much as mine. And I'm trying to build this team so in the next couple of years, my team can run the business. and I'll take my little piece of it and go away and finally retire. I'm like you guys said earlier, I'm a senior, and
When did you get the first bug for entrepreneurism? What age can you remember?
well, I'm gonna tell you though. I'm gonna just explain this. Me and a friend of mine, the name of our company, the name Ron Rich Corporation came from a friend of mine, Richard. We were athletes in high school. I mean, I ran track. I was pretty good at that, and played a little football. I was decent in football. I played basketball in junior high, but by the time I got to high school, the guys were much better than I was. I'll just tell you the truth. That's why I couldn't play. It was better. I'm not that up because I was a hell of a track runner. So I had my day. So Richard and I decided we're not going to be great athletes that's going to be professional one day. So let's become entrepreneurs. And man, there was a time when I was 12, I had, quite not to start off with paper out like most people. But by the time I was 14, him and I, it was a white guy that had a bicycle shop in my hometown. We went down and learned how to fix bikes from him. And by the time we were 15, we had our own this bicycle shop out of my mother's garage. I mean, which my mother eventually put us out of it because of the fact that she said, well, you guys don't have license to do this, and I don't want you to get in trouble. I said, Mom, we don't need a license. But we did pretty good. You come over, we changed the tires, fixed a few things for 50 cents. So, really, at a very early age, man, I was hustling.
My 14-year-old is laughing now. 50 cents, dude. I'm making
50
$500,
cents was
$700, sometimes $1,200 a month. This man just said 50 cents.
I make about $5-6 a week, man. $5-6 a week.
You need to give us context to tell us what year that was. Sound like some dinosaur stuff, Rod.
Yeah, I make $5-6 a week. I was doing well because my paper route would pay me about, I had to go around. People would pay me on a paper route. I'd be knocking on the doors. They'd be hiding and stuff like that. So I go around, stick around on the back end, and just see them in the window. And I come back, I start hollering, I want my money. So, I got started pretty early. And like I said, during the time I was at General Mills, I always had a business on the side. I had a couple record stores back in the early 70s, too. I mean, a couple of years after I started with General Mills, we had a couple of record stores that did pretty good. And like I said, I'm not going to sit up here and say we made a lot of money, but, when you can make a little money on the side, it's all good. And then I was DJing. I mean, behind me, people probably see that I got a lot of records back there.
Man.
And I got a pretty extensive record collection. Right now, vinyls is worth a lot of money, so but not to harp on that. But I did a little DJing and a lot of other stuff because extra money. It really helped me to do a lot of things without begging other people. And like I said, once I learned how to take $1 and make it 2, 3, and sometimes 5, then I knew I was sort of on my way because, success is when you can double your money. If you can double your money, you're doing it. And everybody's not going to double their money. I understand that because you're talking about 100%. But I've been fortunate to kind of do it because I pick and choose the things where I had a decent markup. And so I'll say this. If you really, really want to be an entrepreneur, today, because of all of the access to media, Google, there's so many ways that you can get information that you need. And it helps you to put that business plan together. That with the right plan, somebody is going to like what you're doing. And quite naturally, you have to be able to communicate too. I mean, you can't really be a shy person. You got to show people that you have that enthusiasm, that they know you're going to go out there and really work to make that business work. Because see, when you're an entrepreneur, I mean, people listen to your conversation and what you know and what your game plan is, and will make that decision. So don't be a shy person and think that you're going to be pretty successful in business. And I'm not saying that. I mean, quite naturally, if you come up with some technology that nobody else has had, you don't have to say nothing. It'll speak for itself. Or, so there's things that you can do, and, you don't have to say nothing because it's, what you're doing is doing so well.
When was the point when you knew that you would be a successful entrepreneur for the rest of your life? What was there a seminal moment that you was like, aha, man, I got this and I'm off to the races? Because what I thought was amazing when we met, and you told me that you did something that 98% of people would never do. You cashed out of your 401k plan and actually pulled out the cash and then
Yeah,
started buying property. And that was
right.
back in 94, which people probably
94
thought
Dale.
you was crazy.
Well, a lot of people told me, when I started buying land in Arizona, one friend of mine said, his brother always told him when he was a teacher, say, yeah, you're the type of fool that would go buy land in the desert. But if anybody know anything about Phoenix, if you know anything about Phoenix, especially Las Vegas, I mean, they were desert towns. I mean, people talk about Bugsy Siegel and other people that started casinos out there, but they really just started. Vegas was really a cowboy town back in the 30s. And when Bugsy and all those guys came out there, the mafia took it to another level because they had that money, that money that they was washing and cleaning up out there. And Phoenix too. I mean, they were desert towns. But today, I mean, they're green and mean, and they're coming back. I mean, quite naturally, the COVID kind of knocked them down a little bit, but things are coming back. And I'm seeing some appreciation in my land too, and quite naturally. At this stage of my life,
Ron, answer my question, man. When did you know that you were gonna be a bona fide?
Well, that's kind of. Well, I'm trying to throw that in. I mean, some of the assets that you have will make you feel bona fide.
This weekend, you were telling me all the story, and now I get thinking you ain't want to tell us the story.
Well, we're talking about the stories, but like I said, I mean, what's going to make you feel like you really? The more assets that you accumulate, that has value. I mean, because people could have assets.
But what I'm saying to you is because I know when I thought I was going to be an entrepreneur and be successful at it. I know exactly when it was. It wasn't when I accumulated, $100,000.
But I'm telling you, well, go back there. I thought so when I was 15.
Okay.
We opened up the bicycle shop.
Okay.
Because
so what was it about it that made you
because
think
the thing is, I'm gonna tell you, I had a paper route, I had the bicycle shop, and we had a nightclub. After dark. Me and some guys.
You had a nightclub at 15?
Yeah, man, we had the red light parties going on at the time. We charged 25 cents to get in. At the basement.
Oh my goodness, 25 cents.
Yeah. To come to the party, man. We had Kool-Aid, man. You get a cup of Kool-Aid. We sold Kool-Aid for a dime. Chips for a nickel. Because, see, we met in my hometown, Jay's Potato Chip, man, was a company out of Chicago.
That's out of
you
Chicago.
Remember Jay's Potato? Yeah. And we met one of the guys that was driving, man. He hooked up something, man, that he kind of, because they was coming in and selling them to the store. So he kind of sold me and my boys the same price the stores were getting, okay? And that's when I knew, because we talked him into selling us the potato chips. And we selling them for a nickel. And we're selling Kool-Aid, glass Kool-Aid for, nickel, 10 cents, whatever we could get into the thing, And, quite naturally, we knew the little cutie girls because, we had a good game. So the girls would come to the party, so the guys come to the party. I knew then, baby. That's how I keep this up.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. So I want to ask Nick. So Nick, you're not a bona fide full-time entrepreneur. So what is it about you that make you think that you could be a successful entrepreneur, been in this, this STEAM system that we got of connectivity, access, and mentorship? So you heard about the 25-cent chips and the 50-cent, fix the bike. And that obviously was a lot of money back in Jesus times. So tell us what is getting you excited in the fourth generation that you think you could be a full-time entrepreneur, man. What is it that got you hot?
Man, well, I mean, just the idea that anything I'm passionate about and anything that I want to do, I can be successful at it. As long as I put my mind to it. It's just a matter of is it something that I'm willing to do and willing to put up with. So this experience right here. This is my first full-blown experience in entrepreneurship. Of course, I dabbled a little bit, growing up. When we interviewed Dr. Randall Pinkett, he talked about the CD business that he had in college. That I did that when I was in middle school. Me and my man's he calls himself Joe College now. He's a rapper. Me and my man Joe College, we grew up together, lived next door to each other. Well, our parents lived next door to each other for almost 30 years now. So when we were in middle school, he used to always get the music. I had the computer with the CD burner, and I had a all-in-one printer where I can, scan images. So
how old were you? How old were you? Because sometimes I get middle school and elementary school mixed up. My children be laughing at me.
Middle school, I think I was about 12, 11. Okay,
so you had the 12, first 13? Bite of the entrepreneur bug at 12 years of age.
About 12 or 13. Selling CDs. So he would get the music, I would make the copies and make the covers, and we would take them to school and sell them for about, $3 to $5 a pop.
Wow. So you would get $3 to $5 a pop, and Ron was only getting 50 cents.
Yeah. But of course, these weren't the real CD. Like if you went to the store, you'd be paying $15, $20 for the real CD. So
okay.
Of course, what we were doing.
So y'all were violating some copyright laws and stuff.
Yeah, we were. It's piracy laws. We would definitely violate some piracy laws. Thankfully, I'm not running for office. In the future, I don't think I'm running for office. So
the statute of limitations is passed.
Yeah, I'm okay with saying that. I'm not running for office or anything. But yeah, that was my first bite at it. So it was a little experience, introduction to entrepreneurship for me. So at this point, I'm going through this experience, and also the fact that you're giving me access to all of these ballers, and they all have their niche too. Some of them, they have their own niche and their own types of businesses. So I'm getting exposed to different niches and different types of businesses, and I'm observing, thinking like, okay, that might be something I might be interested in, or maybe I might be interested in this type of business. So that's the experience I'm getting right now. I'm feeling out what fits me best, in terms of entrepreneurship. But to answer your question, just the fact that I can do anything that I'm passionate about and I can put my mind to, that would make me successful at it.
That makes sense. So when you had that bug at 12, let me ask you this question. I'm asked this to Ron as well. What was it that your parents discouraged you in terms of telling you, you got to go to school, you got to get a great education, you got to get security, that bug had you put it on the shelf for a while and chase that security? And the reason why I asked that, and I asked it to Ron as well, is because we all were brought up that way. We all indoctrinated that, to me, when I was growing up, if you said the word entrepreneur, that meant that you were either lazy, you couldn't keep a job. It wasn't looked on like it is today as like a real noble thing to do, which today it's like that's the only thing to be doing is being an entrepreneur. So what was it that was not necessarily they didn't know that they were discouraging you, but they did discourage you because you didn't fully go after entrepreneurship until you, and again, you're not fully in entrepreneurship right now. You're actually in an apprenticeship program. So what was it exactly that put you to put it on the shelf?
I guess looking back in retrospect,
you got to unmute Ron.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I'll go first, and then I'll unmute Ron so we don't get the feedback. All right. So just looking back in retrospect, my parents didn't necessarily discourage entrepreneurship, but they looked at it. They looked at securing a job or a career as, like you said, more secure. My father actually dabbled in entrepreneurship, but going back to our Dr. George Fraser interview, back in August, he said there's a difference between doing business and doing business. So my father, he was, he wasn't a certified entrepreneur. He was doing business. So he was, so he was doing it, he still is, he does, he treats his business as more like a side hustle, more like something he does on the side rather than something that you can do full time, and completely replace a job, you know. So I kind of saw that as an example that it was a little bit more safe to hold a regular job and maybe do entrepreneurship as something on the side. And and it wasn't until, much later, pretty much until now, until I learned about how to become a certified entrepreneur and getting your corporation and the taxes and all of that. My father, he's doing business, so he doesn't do any of that. He doesn't know about any of that. So he's doing business with his landscaping and lawn care. So just seeing that example, I think that was it. That and not having that exposure to seeing what real entrepreneurship looks like, that was the thing that kind of made me put it on the shelf.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ron, Ron, so what about you, Ron? I mean,
well, one thing about it, my father, like Nick Fathers was, my father worked in the factory, man, when I was a kid. By the time I was 14, my father opened up a little grocery store on the side. It wasn't really all that. I mean, it was something that, matter of fact, he would have me working there for a little bit, but it made a little money, Then at the time, it was enough to pay the bills, put a few extra dollars in his pocket, gave me something to do. But, like I said, I started early doing a lot of things. And, like I said, my partner Richard, man, we did quite a few things. There's a lot right next door to his house, man. We set up a little miniature golf course, man, and we was charging people for that, man. We always, when one thing didn't work, we gonna do something else, okay? And we did that all our lives. I mean, Richard, after college, I was at General Mills. He was at General Motors. He went on to be a regional manager. He was in charge of about 6-7 states, and he did very well. He retired shortly after I did. He became a minister, which was kind of surprising because I was the only person that we ran with that had to go to church every Sunday until I was 18. But he passed away about 8 years ago. I mean, very dear friend of mine, and I love him to death. I mean, we were like brothers. But like I said, man, I never ever felt that I couldn't be an entrepreneur and do well with it because of the fact that I had things I did. I had a passion for it, and I loved what I was doing. So, success comes with passion of what you're doing, because you got to really love what you're doing. Because if you love what you're doing, you're gonna give it your max. And sometimes, I did some things I love, and every business I had, I've had quite a few different businesses, And during the time I was at General Mills, one thing about it, I developed a private label and toilet paper, man, and sold it to all the damn distributors, man, that through General. And it was a sneaky way to do it, but I did it. But so, I mean, and so, there's ways that you can make money, and sometimes you're going to lose money. I mean, I don't want people to think that everything that I put my hand on became gold, because I probably had 3 or 4 things that failed. I mean, but, I had a job or I had some other source of money that they really didn't hurt me that much financially. But, yeah, I've had my ups and downs. So it's nothing perfect, but, you just stick with it. You got to stick with it, because if you stick with it, you're going to find success. I'm pretty sure of that. But like I said, you got to constantly continue to educate yourself. Reading, videos, you got the YouTubes out there. You have so many things online right now with the technology that's going on that will make you at least you can get the knowledge. I mean, how you execute the knowledge that you learn, that's another thing too, because people go to college, come out, really don't do that much with their education because they don't know how to execute what they've learned. And because and I tell people today, I mean, college is not the biggest answer unless you're really into some technical stuff or medical stuff. Almost everything else, you come out and you get a regular job, and you're not really raising no hell no more, because for some reason these companies don't want to pay like these do. Considering the cost of living, when I started at General Mills, you could live pretty good. But I know I have a lot of friends who kids are coming out majoring in business and marketing and stuff like that. They go get a job, man. It pays a little bit better than just somebody without that degree, but it's not that much more.
Yeah, that model doesn't work anymore. You can't work at a job 30 years, yet alone 5 years, because technology and a lot of people into the individualism. So that model don't work anymore. It probably ended in my generation, and it's never coming back for, you know, next generation. So we're going to talk about a little bit more on where we started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got the entrepreneur bug with my age and what was the seminal moment for me. And then we're going to talk about where we are today after this break from a word from our sponsors. We'll be back in a moment.
Called Family Finance 101. It'll teach you A to Z how to become consumer debt free, credit worthy, and put you in a position to become a certified entrepreneur. We'll also give you a complimentary consultation with me that's a $500 value. Why would you want to do that? Because I have already achieved that, and I can help you achieve your American dream in 2021. Hit the link below, get the free webinar and the complimentary consultation, and I'll see you soon and wish you a calm lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us. Untitled Organic Tequila is so crisp, so incredibly smooth. It's simply in a category by itself. This is luxury. Life tastes better naturally, so should your tequila. This is Untitled. Enjoy responsibly. Visit ToledoTequila.com to get your bottle of Toledo Organic Tequila. Get a 10% discount on DJ the Money Coach by entering promo code MONEY at checkout. Again, that's ToledoTequila.com, promo code MONEY to get 10% off your Toledo purchase. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome back to Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. And I'm going to start back in this segment, which is going to be our last segment for this inaugural premiere show of Bet on Black, and tell you guys about my first experience with entrepreneurship and what was the moment that I actually thought I could be great at being an entrepreneur. So I remember I went to a Catholic grammar school, St. Catherine Genoa, and on the south side of Chicago. So we had a thing that was called bingo. I don't know if anybody, parents ever played bingo, but they used to play bingo, ironically, on Thursday nights. So this is a Thursday night. So shout out to the bingo players and the bingo halls. So my grandmother used to be an adamant bingo player. So it was at my elementary school. And elementary school for me, if my sons are watching, was kindergarten to 8th grade. There was no middle school in the Catholic school that I went to. It was just called elementary school. So let's clear the air on that one too. Okay. So from 5th grade to 8th grade, you could work the bingo hall. So 5th grade, I was 10 years of age, and I was like, man, I want to make some extra money because I used to be an avid bowler. And I said, man, I'm going to work the bingo hall. So you would work the bingo hall and you would be a server. You would go get the drinks, the hot dogs, the potato chips, and you work your butt off for a tip. So my thing was, I go down there, they be playing bingo, and somebody put their hand up, they want something to eat. I go serve them up, get the napkins, and ask them the little extra things they want. And I realized that the more friendly you were to the person and the quicker you can anticipate what they next thing they wanted, and you gave them a little bit more, they actually gave you a big tip. So at the end of the night, we would have our pockets, if you did real well, filled with change. And if you really did great, you get a couple of dollars. So one night we did it at the bingo hall, and I think I made like $20. And man, I was just excited because my pockets were full, and I actually could buy myself brand new bowling shoes, and I was able to put down some money on a new bowling ball. And at that point, I was like, man, dude, this is amazing. If I could do this every night, I could make $100 a week, and I wouldn't have to ask my parents or my grandmother for nothing. So that was at 10 years of age. I got that bug, and I was like, man, at that point, I was trying to figure out how can I do this, and actually, how can I get some people to work for me? So I would start selling my comic books, and I had some people go out and sell comic books. Then I would get the baseball cards. So I go buy the baseball cards, and I share them with my buddies, be like, hey man, you sell a card, I give you 50% of the sales. And I started putting a little sales team together. I was like, oh man, this is exciting, dude. So that was at like 12 years of age. And then when I got into high school, you know, just like everybody else, I never had a paper route because my next door neighbor, his name was Ron. It's amazing. His name was Ron Beverly. He had the paper route on lockdown. I mean, everybody wanted a paper route, and Ron Beverly, he wasn't letting it go. So he worked the paper route, I think, until he was up, man. I mean, he was getting paid. He bought a car from having a paper route. And he had his paper route until his senior year in high school. So you couldn't get the paper route. And on top of that, he had the daggone lawn care business. Him and his brother, Bill, had the lawn care business on lockdown. So I couldn't get no entry point into that market. They had me closed out, boxed out, man. So when I get to high school, I got a job in the book room. It was actually in our school. We had a little book room where you can get supplies. I went to a Catholic high school for a couple of years called Leo. This was a highly sought after job because during the lunch break, so you had like 2 lunch breaks for the freshmen and the sophomores, you had a lunch break. Then for the juniors and seniors, you had a lunch break. And everybody would come to the book room to buy supplies, candy, all that. And I happened to be the #1 Latin student in our school. And it was a brother named Bro Kowaleski. We called him Broski. He was a white dude. You could have sworn he was a brother. So I got the Covenant book room job. And then I started, you know, scraping a little. I'd get me some supplies. I pay a little bit, you know, less than what the supplies cost. And then I started working shop outside the school. So I'd be making, man, $200-300 a week. And everybody would come to me, get their hookup for the supplies, jackets, shirts, pens, pencils. And that was a coveted job. When I got that bug bit, and 1 month, I think I made maybe about, man, $1,200. I was able to buy my whole wardrobe, you know, for school the next year. I was able to buy myself 2 brand new bowling balls, which at that time, that's what I did, you know, religiously was bowling. And then I had money to go kick it and party. And that's when I got fired up. And all on the time, you know, your parents are telling you, hey, you got to go to school, get good grades. I was a straight A student. But as I started feeling that, I was like, man, anytime somebody told me something I couldn't do and I had the money, I said, man, if I can figure this out and I can do this full time, I'm going to be down with this program. So at that point, I never held a job longer than 3 years that I can remember. Because anytime I got to a point at a job that they would tell me something that I couldn't do, I was doing a little side hustle, making money, and I would quit the job just like that. In a quick minute, man, I'm out of here. I break some sales records like Ron did at General Mills, and then they come around and tell me some BS about cutting my commission. I'd be like, man, later for that. I'm going to get this other job. And in the process, I'm still, you know, working gigs. I start doing janitorial services in the summertime. I actually did Kirby vacuum cleaners. My sophomore year in college, I made $12,000 in 3 months selling Kirby vacuum cleaners, which at the time felt like I made $100 grand because I was able to buy myself a car. I was able to pay for my college tuition the next semester just off of doing Kirby, man. So at that point, I was all in, and I was like, one of these days, sooner or later, I'm going to run my own business and I'm going to be my own boss. And the thing that I like about bringing this show to you guys is that I never had a Ron Harris that I could actually go to because my parents were not entrepreneurs. My mom was a nurse, put herself through nursing school, had to work 2 jobs. You know, my dad, he worked at the telephone company. Then he became a fireman. Then he became a police officer. So there was no entrepreneur spirit. Well, my dad, he did a little bit of hustling, but like you said, Nick, he was doing business. And every time I look up down our basement, Ron, he would have people coming over, had them reel to reels, and they were cutting songs and stuff. And he had to entertain. We had the Shy Lights used to practice in our basement, man, in Chicago. You know, tell me, have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Oh, tell me, have you seen her? Run away. So my dad, he would dabble in the music and the entertainment business, but I never saw that as a business. I just knew these cool cats come over our house. We down in the basement and they just jamming, and I didn't even know who they were until like I was into my mid-20s. I was like, wait a minute. Tell me, have you seen? Shit, them dudes used to be in my basement, kicking it. So I realized that, oh man, he had the bug, but he didn't put a business together. So if I had the chance to run into a Ron Harris at a young age, I probably would have been a more successful entrepreneur by the time I was 20, 21. And the moral of the story is that that's the message of having these 4 generations. Because if there's people out there that want to be real entrepreneurs and be sustainable through decades, you got to have access to mentorship. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. I lost, just like Ron talks about, I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in business. One of the mistakes I made is that when I was at this company called SysDraw Software Sales, and from 96 to 97, I shattered all their sales records. And they increased their revenues almost by 30%. They went from a $3 million company to like $4.5 million, which at that time was a lot of money. And then Vizio, not Vizio, the guys you see the television, but there's a Vizio company that's a technology company that does computer and design. They came in and bought the company because I just kept shattering their sales records. And when I did that in January of 1997, I remember this. I sold like $100,000 worth of software in December 96, and I broke all their sales records. In January, check this out, Ron and Nick, they came in, did the sales meeting. You know how they do the sales meetings, Ron, at the beginning of the year? We kick off. They brought me up. Hey, man, we want to, commend, Dale for selling all this stuff. They give me the plaque. They give me this check for like $15,000, $20,000. Man, I'm excited. And 10 minutes later, dude, the sales director came in and he said, now we got a new quota. Our new quota is the record that Dale just hit for the 3rd month in a row. And that immediately cut my pay by 50%. Everybody was pissed off. I was really pissed off because I'm like, well, so you now want me to work 50% harder to get this check that I just bust my butt off to get half of what I'm going to get. So they offered me a job to go out to Washington when Vizio bought out the company, Washington State. I turned them down. Then I used to go to lunch with this guy named Yadav. He was an Asian Indian guy. He was about 15 years older than me. And we used to have a good time just fellowshipping, kicking it. Unbeknownst to me, he actually created the actual software that he licensed to SysDraw. And in a deal with Vizio, he retained the rights to actually go into competition against Vizio in the Chicagoland market. So he brought me to lunch. He said, look, Dale, man, you've been shattering sales records. Let me tell you something. I own the rights to the software. I want you to be my new president of sales. And I want to do $5 million worth of business in the next 36 months. And I know you can get us there. So I'm like, cool, man, sign me up. So he said, hey, I want you to come meet my wife and we're going to sign off on this deal. So at the time, I'm with my girlfriend at the time, who's my girlfriend now, shout out to Sylvia. So we go sit down in his house and he's laying out the plan. He's going to pay me $125,000 in base salary. Now, this is a lot of money, man. This is 1997. It's a lot of money. So I had just started in the Amway business and I really was like, oh, wow, I'm about to be an entrepreneur. I got the bug. I just started doing a little bit of the cleaning business, which eventually I actually fully incorporated White Glove Immaculate Services in 1998. So I got a couple of things in the fire, Ron, just like you talked about. And I'm about to get paid. First time I'm going to get a salary of 6 figures in my life. And that was my number one goal, was to be a millionaire. But my first goal was to make $100,000 in 1 year. So I had met my goal. And so I'm sitting across the table from Yadav and his wife, me and Sylvia. And Yadav says, yeah, man, this is what I'm going to pay you. When we hit 500,000, you're going to get another $50,000 bonus. When we hit 2 million, you're going to get a $250,000 bonus. When we hit 5 million, he said, you're going to make, in that year, you're going to make like $600,000-$700,000. Man, I'm excited. He said, you got any questions, Dale? I said, Yadav, I got one question. I said, when I'm ready to run my own business, will you allow me to train my own replacement? He started laughing. He literally sat across the table with his wife, with Sylvia, with me, and he literally just started laughing in my face. I didn't think it was funny. I'm like, what the hell are you laughing about? I literally said something to that, regard, because I used to go out lunch with him for a good year, so we were supposedly friends. So I'm like, what the hell are you laughing at, man? I got a fucking dream. He said, man, you're gonna be making so much money with me, Dale. You ain't gonna be concerned about running your own business. I said, man, this is fucking America. I said, you from India, and you telling me I'm not gonna want to run my own business because you paying me $500,000? I said, man, get the fuck out of here. He said, hey, man, you might want to think about it. He said, are you turning my offer down? I said, you damn right. I said, I'm turning your offer down right now. Man, dude, you talking about the room went from jolly to, damn, are we going to have a fight up in here? And Sylvia is like elbowing me like, what the fuck are you doing? Pardon my French, but this is an adult show. So, and here's the importance of this message, twofold. Number one, if I had a Ron Harris, they would tell me, hey, man, you might want to sleep on this. Don't take it personal what he's telling you, but sleep on it. Number two, if you break them records like you have been, you still gonna get what you want, what you asked him for. But I didn't know that. So I turned him down, and he said, hey, Dale, man, I didn't want to offend you, but the offer's still on the table. Why don't you go think about it? I was like, man, later for that. Because I came from the point when you grew up in the hood and somebody disrespect you and they humiliate you, you try to split their head. So we walk out, she's upset with me. And I'm like, man, fuck that, man. So I leave. We have a little disagreement between her and I go back to work. And he came back to me, hey, man, you want the job, man? No, I don't want the job. You're going to tell me you're going to control me, so you're going to call me at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to fly out to Boston just because you paying me $120,000, whatever? Get out of here. At that point, I said, man, I'm going full bore into my cleaning business. But that was a mistake, guys, because what I learned is that I end up talking to this guy. His name is Ed. And Ed said, hey, man, Dale, dude, that's a typical, maneuver. If you told somebody that you was going to leave them before you even with them. So he was going to obviously fight back because you offended him. So he trying to power move you, and he thought that you had some sense that you were going to get over it and take the job anyway. He said the fact that you didn't, he was like, that was stupid. He said, because no, why? Because once you broke them records and you told him you was leaving, he would have given you the kitchen sink ownership in the business and everything. But I didn't know that. And unfortunately, that started to ripple to the breakdown of my relationship with Sylvia. And it put me on the trackway to a couple of hardships for a couple of months, about 6, 8, 9 months, man. I was struggling, trying to get the business off the ground. And if I'd have just had real entrepreneurs say, hey, man, dude, take his offer, go ahead, put that work in, and you're going to get paid because you're good at what you do, and you keep building your business on the side, like Ron said, my life would have been totally different from a financial standpoint. It would have been 100 times better, but I wouldn't have the life and the family I have now. But the point is that who was there to tell me that? There was nobody. It was nobody I could lean on that was making that kind of money, that looked like me, that owned something, that had something to lose. Instead, I just blew my top. Blew my top. And I always thought about that. And here's the ironic part. Came back 2 years later because my business was struggling. Talked to Yadav. He was like, hey, man, Dale, man, I love you, respect you. He's like, man, I don't have no opportunities for you. He said, because one, I can't put you in middle management because you're too good. I don't have a VP or president position available. So I couldn't bring you and replace them. And I needed a gig. He was like, man, he's like, you would upset the apple cart if I bring you here at mid-management level, bro. I know you can test some stuff up, but you would cause conflict in my business. And man, dude, I know you were upset, and I would have given you that job for 6 months, but I can't give it to you now. So that taught me the reality of mentorship and accessibility and humility at the same time. So from there, when I really got my cleaning business, White Glove Immaculate Services, off the ground, I remembered that experience. And I say, I'm not going to burn any bridges anymore like that, because I just didn't know any better. And that guy's company went off to make $100 million. And I would have been worth $10, $15 million in my early 20s, man. 26, 27 years of age. Real talk. Real talk. So how do we help people now? Is because we bring Ron to the table. We bring Ron Bronze, we bring Leonard Ray, we bring Clarence to the table, and we get that information to Nick, and we give it to other brothers, because the hardships you got to learn about. And what that also taught me about is how to treat people, you know, the right way, and also know that when you make yourself indispensable to a company, they'll give you whatever you want. Truism has never been spoken, Ron. What do you say to that? Had you had that experience before, Ron?
Definitely jumped on it. But, you got to make decisions, and sometimes you'll make the wrong decision, but you got to do what you feel is right for you. I probably would have accepted, because those kind of numbers, especially at an early age, I've been all over it. But like I said, man, I respect the person who feel like they're being slighted a little bit by somebody because of the fact that you know what you worth, your value. And if you felt that, I probably would have took it and just worked it and got some money, accumulated more money, went out there and jumped on my business, knowing that I got some serious backup. But like I said, everybody's got to make that.
Let's hold it right there. So that mindset, you got that from somebody else, though. So
like I said, Del,
see, I didn't have anybody to teach me that.
People that it wasn't a lot of. I'm gonna be honest about it. Wasn't a lot of black entrepreneurs around me because I grew up in a small town. And, you had guys there. It was a couple people had bars. A couple guys had little stores, but nothing to really, look at it and say, well, because so you guys, you came up during a time when technology was going on, like you said. And, people would come in this country and make money, man. Because when I was young, man, you didn't have that many billionaires in this country.
Yeah, hardly
so, so really, changing time, every generation's, man, there's even more opportunities because, like I said, the technology and a lot of other things that's being developed now. Like we was talking about when you was here last week, we was kicking it about certain things that's coming aboard now. A lot of technology. You got all these cryptocurrencies out here and stuff like that a lot of people have made money for. So, like I said, but whatever you do, it's so important that you have the passion that you're going to put the time in it to master that game, because everything is competitive. And the guys that really work the hardest and work the smartest, tend to be the people that come out on top, or either be the people who are settling in at a 2 or 3 million a year, whatever they want, that makes them happy. So we all got to find our niche. We all got to find out what type of income we need to be happy with who we are.
Man, that's a great point. You know what, man? I think the best way to end this show is to end it right there and close out, because we're going to bring on our other two co-hosts that's going to give us that all 4 bookends, which is Clarence, Ron Bonds, and also Leonard Ray. And I think we'll make this a continuation. So we'll call this the pre-launch of Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. So Nick, give us 30, 60 seconds of what you gleaned from this pre-launch of this amazing show that we're going to do. And then we're going to give Ron, 30, 60 seconds to chime out. I'm going to close out, and then we're going to close out with a word from our sponsors, because this is going to be an amazing show. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and absolutely. And just to build off of that, I think, with DJ, what you left off on and my, my backstory, that pretty much gives you the reason why, it gives all of you the reason why this show is necessary. And not only this show, but we encourage this to go on offline too. And then this does go on offline. The connections, between the generations of Black men, because it's, it's necessary. You talk to any man who's made a mistake, or a man who maybe went down the wrong path. I guarantee you the source of that is the lack of guidance from, an older man, and not just guidance, but the proper guidance, because we have a lot of, misguided older men leading, younger men too. So we got to emphasize the proper guidance, and of course I see that working in education, working in the schools, and seeing, I don't work with as many young Black men as I did, first starting out in my teaching career, but, just noticing the same thing, noticing this pattern repeat, over and over again. This show really emphasizes the importance of having these conversations between generations and making those connections, and, really getting back to the idea of the village. So, I'm excited about this pre-launch and, pushing forward into the future conversations.
Man, that's awesome. Ron, what's your parting words on this pre-launch for Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy? And topic 1 today is humble beginnings, from humble beginnings to the pom-pom lifestyle. So what's your closing thoughts on our pre-launch? So next week we'll tee it up with the whole team.
Well, my closing statement is this. I think that you heard tonight from several of us who are entrepreneurs, and the fact that, we talked about how we got started. We talked about our ups and downs, and we talked mainly about our success in life. And I just say this, like I said, if you're really interested in becoming an entrepreneur, find something, maybe it's a hobby that you see that you can take it to a level that you can make it something that you can make money for. But passion and what you're doing is so important, because if you don't like what you're doing, you aren't going to do it that well. I'll end it there.
Yeah, man, that makes sense. So hey, we'll be right back after this last word from our sponsors, and then I'm gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna thank you guys for tuning in. And hey, if you like this pre-launch to Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy, hey, share this, like it, subscribe, tell a friend. And this show is for boys to men from age 8 to 98, because we're going to show you that we have been the headship for the actual, God, family, and business in the real way, and giving a great example to our children and our children's children, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And it's always going to come around how money impacts everything you do in life, which is 98%. Money's not good. Money's not bad. It only magnifies who you really are from your lack or your character. So we'll be right back after word from our sponsors.
This is DJ the Money Coach. Thank you for celebrating our 1-year anniversary with us. Thank you for the emails, videos, and the phone calls. Most importantly, congratulations for the hundreds of people who actually acquired the course. Now it's time to take it to the next level. That's right. Millionaire, money made. I'm actually going to teach live how to earn that 800 credit score through the Family Finance one-on-one course. I'm going to teach a live 3-hour course to you. That's right. After I do that, we're actually going to bring you 3 steps to success: business, real estate, and leverage the tax laws. And once we achieve that, we're going to show you how to earn with a little bit of investment in the market up to an 80% return, cash return on your money. After we achieve that, we're going to show you how to earn with a minimum investment of $7,500, how to get you to $850 a month passive income. On top of that, we're going to give you 2 live Zoom trainings. Leonard Ray, Forex traders, Clarence and Tonia, 7-figure income earners, real estate, 200 properties they own at the young age of 40 and 42. All you have to do is register now. Hit that link below, and you'll become part of Millionaire, Money Making exclusively. Erica Williams, Classic Climb, brought to you by DJ the Money Coach and the 7 Spheres of Money team. So don't you deserve to be a millionaire next door? Consumer debt free, cash, and credit? Absolutely. Hit the link. I'll see you live on May 19th.
Untitled Organic Tequila is so crisp, so incredibly smooth. It's simply in a category by itself. This is luxury. Life tastes better naturally, so should your tequila. This is Untitled. Enjoy responsibly. Visit ToledoTequila.com to get your bottle of Toledo Organic Tequila. Get a 10% discount on DJ and Money Coach by entering promo code MONEY at checkout. Again, that's ToledoTequila.com, promo code MONEY to get 10% off your Toledo purchase. Now, let's start the show.
All right, welcome back. And we're closing out the show. And what we want to let you know is that all the 4 main co-hosts on this show are consumer debt free. They are certified 6-figure income earners, and they have 7-figure net worths. And so we think that's most important for you to know that. And we're going to bring on guests every week that are going to be at the highest level of the game. And the most important part, ladies and gentlemen, is that these people will have sustainability. They're not going to be somebody you just see hop on the internet for 30 days, 2 years that just stumbled into $1 million. These are going to be professionals that have been in their game, in their expertise at the highest level of their industry for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And most importantly, these are going to be men, black men like you and me, that actually have the fruit on their tree. What do I mean? They're going to have great children. They're not going to be perfect, but they're going to have great children that are, standout kids who are dignified, respectful, and hardworking. That actually is the opposite of what we see depicted on all these platforms most of the time. And that's what our show is going to be about. And that's what we are going to be about all the time. And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about family. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about sports. And we're going to wrap it all the way around to how money impacts everything about that. And most importantly, why it's important for you to be consumer debt free and financially independent in this corporation called the United States of America. And when you see that, you're going to see that this is a breath of fresh air that you don't see behind the scenes. So we're going to give you the real talk behind the scenes. We're going to talk about a lot of our gaffes, a lot of our losses, so that you can not make the same mistake. And then we also going to provide you with a platform where you can get access to the resources based on what STEAM is about. That's science, technology, entrepreneurship, access, and mentorship. Me personally, I've been an entrepreneur certified for 20 years. Ron, a few decades plus, and Nick is just starting to get into the entrepreneurship, but he's getting the benefit of just between Ron and myself on this show. He's getting access to 50 years of certified successful entrepreneurship who are debt-free and financially independent. And where can you go to get that in the truest form but right here on Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. So I'm DJ, the Money Coach. On behalf of our elder statement, Ron Harris, owner of Ron Rich Corporation, that has been in my, mentorship to me since 2006. And on behalf of my apprentice, Nick Westbrooks, who's my business manager, we're going to sign off on this pre-launch of Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. This is another DJ the Money Coach Financial Expert Series show. So tune in, share, like, and subscribe. And we will see you every week at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And don't be late because we got a whole bunch of nuggets to share with you guys. So we end it the same way all the time. We wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And we want you to come join us on the Beaches of the World Club. And we'll see you next time.
I did not know, it was all of these challenges. I got a very good jumping off point. Very good resources. But then you came in and started dropping a lot of knowledge. You need A, B, C, and D. And that's helped me. That's helped me all throughout. The book recommendations you've given me, some of the information you've passed out to me, and some of the other resources that you've had in your toolkit, and given all to me. Not only that, but really giving me a year throughout all of my troubles, that I'm facing right now. Kind of the fears that I'm having for the foreseeable future. You were there, and I really got to thank you for that. I think I would progress, but not as I am right now, not with a clearer vision, of what's going to happen tomorrow. So I want to thank you. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for giving me your time. And thank you for giving me those resources that will definitely help push me forward. And for anybody who's looking to work with DJ on some level, go ahead, try it, invest. This is probably some of the best help I've ever received in my life. So guys, just take it for what it is. And I'm grateful. I really am grateful that DJ was there to help. So
7 of money, DJ the money coach.